Welcome to the Mind Tag Japan podcast. My name is Philip, and this is episode 3. It's been about 3 weeks since the last episode, so I'm getting a little bit faster, but it's definitely not going to be every week anytime soon. I have eaten a lot of things, met a lot of people, I have successfully overworked myself, I have started to sweat less, the rain season has started, a lot of things happened, and I think I have successfully acclimatized to the Japanese lifestyle. Mainly working too much and too long, which I would like to change honestly. Also not spending much time at home really, which is one of the biggest differences to Europe or the Czech Republic. What people like to do there is to just do everything they have to do as fast as they can, and then just lock themselves in their houses and spend the evenings alone in their house. Of course, it's not everybody. But I think it's one of the biggest differences in lifestyle in Japan, that people just don't care about the place where they are. Everything is a little bit more mobile, smaller, and you can just do anything anywhere you like. So I'm starting to get used to it a little bit. I don't really have the need to go back to my house and be at home, so to speak. So that's one of the biggest differences I have noticed. Also, I have degraded even further with being careless about my possessions. It's starting to be really worrying how much I stopped caring about where my money and phone and everything is. Just leave it laying around, nobody will take it. The other day I went to a supermarket and an old lady with a lot of handbags and a huge bags on wheels. She just entered the supermarket and left all of her things behind the cash desks, and then walked in the shop just with a wallet in her hand. And she didn't stop for 1 second to think about what she's doing. It's amazing how different the point of view is of a person who never traveled much and lived most of his life in Japan. You tell him about how people steal in Prague and in the Czech Republic, how people could have a knife to cut your bag open and then take your wallet, and they look at you like this is something from an amazing adventure, a science fiction film, something that they could never imagine would happen. So that's always fun, talking to students about stealing in the Czech Republic. I guess I am not painting the best image about Czech people and Czech food and Czech culture. It's like an ongoing joke actually. Some of my colleagues at the language school have recommended my lessons to their students because the students just want to come and laugh at me how I don't like my food from my own country. It's always the same conversation. They seem to love the food from the Czech Republic, especially the beer. It's something special for the Japanese if you get a hamburger at the McDonald's, if you get svíčková, which is a dish from the Czech Republic. It's an amazing dish which doesn't taste anything like the food in Japan. And it's such a high-calorie diet that as a vacation dish, it's really special and they really like it. And also they are constantly amazed how cheap beer is. But that's not only the Japanese. That's any country. If you tell them that the beer is cheaper than water at the restaurant, they're always unbelievably shocked and surprised. And they tell me they have to go to the Czech Republic. But then I tell them that I don't really like the Czech cuisine. I don't really drink beer very much. And actually my name means beer in Czech. So that just makes them laugh out loud. Anyway, how I wanted to start the podcast originally, before it got off the rails as usual, was that the other day I started to live dangerously. I have walked on the street while eating. I have blown my nose. I have talked to somebody on the train quite loudly. And then, believe it or not, I have folded a banknote in half. Oh my god. I have never seen somebody do that, by the way. All the banknotes look so clean, so neat, so perfect. And I have yet to see somebody who's Japanese fold the banknotes. Nobody does that here. It's amazing. The money always looks like it's new. Also, if you go to pay, all the cash desks are automated. So they always feed the money and the coins in the machine, and it automatically returns the coins. Usually they're warm, by the way. It's quite weird. And I guess if the money were crumbled up and scrambled and just torn apart, they wouldn't be able to feed it into the machine. So everybody's really careful with the money. Except me, of course, who just shoves the money in the wallet quickly and makes the corners folded. Another thing is that I always used to hand the money to the cashier's hands, which nobody does. You're supposed to put it into this small tray that is always somewhere near the cash desk. What they do is they just take it and they feed it into the machine. But before they put it into the machine, they always count it and tell you very quickly, with a lot of polite phrases, how much money you gave them. So that's a redundant job. I don't know why they do that. If you give them a lot of coins, a lot of money, it makes their life hell. They have to quickly count all the coins and then tell you the number. Then they push it into the machine, and the machine tells them the number. So why the hell would they have to count it? Also, while I was dangerously walking with a piece of bread on the street, eating it, and looking unstoppable, I have crossed the street on the red light for the first time in Japan. I really felt like doing something dangerous that day. And I've seen the police in action for the first time. I didn't hear them, no sirens or anything, that would be too loud for Japan, I guess. But I've seen the lights blinking, they pulled over, and I thought, they are coming for me. Somebody has noticed I crossed the street on the red light. But no, they pulled over. It wasn't for me. And some people told the policeman that it's over there, it's in the park, and there is a big problem or something. I didn't understand much what they were saying. And then one of the policemen said, okay, I'll run to the nearest supermarket and I'll get some water. And then they took the water bottle and ran into the park where an elderly lady was sitting on a bench, really tired, and they just made sure she's feeling fine and offered her the water. So that was the emergency. Just an elderly person fainting because of the heat, I guess. So they just quickly gave her something to drink and walked her home. So that's the police in Japan. Quick news about the podcast. I have been uploading it to Soundcloud, which is a service where you are listening to the episodes. And I have run out the free 3-hour limit. So if I want to continue uploading to SoundCloud, I would have to pay about $12 per month, which I don't really want to do. I am absolutely not planning on making any money with this podcast. So I have changed the service to anchor.fm, which is free. I am not sure what it means for you. Hopefully nothing much. But if you put the RSS feed into your podcast player or anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, so either you won't have to do anything, or please change the link or you won't get the next episode. I'll write up a few notes how to do that on the website. Language quirk. This time I'd like to talk about everybody's favorite word when they respond to a question in Japan. It's kedo. Kedo means but in Japanese. Not but. You know, but. Like, please say but. Please. I like your but. Say it more. That's what Japanese people want. Just say but. Just say it all the time. Say it more. They need it in their life. They cannot live without it. In the Japanese language, it's not polite to say no. The only time you would hear somebody say no is if you give them a compliment and they say yeah, which yeah means no. but in not any other situation would you say no. What people do is to say chotto, which means a little bit, but also they don't want to talk about it and they just want to say no. And another way to say it, which is the most common, is just to say but. So they just have to say yes, which they absolutely don't mean, and then they say but. So you have to understand that you will always have a positive answer, anything you ask, and then they will say but, so that means no. So it's quite ridiculous sometimes. So it became like a game during my lessons, like my English lessons, that we play each lesson, or I guess I played with myself. I'm trying to teach the Japanese students to stop saying but say no instead. For God's sake, please say no. So I ask them, do you like hamburgers? And they say, yes, hamburgers are really tasty, but... So no. Then I ask them, would you like to go bungee jumping? Would you ever be interested in trying bungee jumping? And they say, it looks really exciting, it's nice, but... So no. And this morning I asked the person, do you think Japanese people work too long and too hard? And he thought a little bit and he said, yeah, maybe, but usually not. But some of them commit suicide. So that took a dark turn quite quickly. And also it was a double level but, which I absolutely didn't comprehend. Is it yes if it's twice but? Is it a big but? I don't know. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what to do about this. And the other way around, it goes the same. When they listen to me talk about something, some of the students really want me to say but. And if I don't say but, they really feel anxious. And sometimes they even say it for me. Like I'm talking about something I like, and they're waiting, and I didn't say but yet. So they're waiting, and they say and, yes, continue. And I say, that's it, I just love it, it's nice. And then they say, yes, but continue. I just like, no, I like it, stop it, just stop saying but, goddammit. So, of course, not everybody does this, but it's too common, too frequent. And it's really funny how in the Japanese language it seems normal, because people just talk like that. But the intonation and how they say the word but in Japanese is completely different to English. So they do it the same way, like the Japanese way, but speaking English. It's just strange. They don't say, I would like to go, but it's raining. But they say, it's a really good idea to go, but. And they always make this sound, but. I can't make it. But maybe I will record it, somebody saying it who's Japanese or something like that, because it's really strange. So I'm starting to be allergic to the word but. So when you meet me, don't say but, please. Traveling tips. This week's traveling tip is about shopping. Shopping in Japan makes you spend too much money way too quickly. So be careful. Be careful out there. Shopping in Japan will make you waste money. So the first thing you might have heard about is 100 yen stores. There is a lot of similar shops around the world. The idea is that you get into a shop where everything costs the same and it's really cheap. Low quality, usually bullshit. But in Japan the quality standards are a little bit different. So if you go into this shop, everything's quite nice and good quality. For people who are Czech like me, it's actually better quality than most of the things I usually use, so I don't mind at all. So if you need something, be it a cup or something for the house or I don't know, a bag or an umbrella, just go to a 100 yen store. It's absolutely adequate, decent quality, and really cheap. The 100 yen stores are everywhere. One of the best shops I found is Lawson. There are 3 supermarket franchises. There is 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson. And Lawson has a variant where they have a Lawson 100 yen shop with food. So you can buy a lot of food for 100 yen, including fruit, which the fruit is horribly expensive. Like 1 apple for 200 yen is just awful. So if you really need to get an apple, at least at Lawson 100, you can get it for 100 yen, which is still awfully expensive compared to the Czech prices, by the way. In the Czech Republic, you can get 1 apple for the price of like 20 yen, I don't know, 10 yen, but a common store in Japan, it's 200 yen. So if you go on Google and search for Lawson 100, you'll find lots of those. So if you need to buy some cheap food, I recommend that. The next shop you might want to visit is Donkey. It's called after Don Quixote, but everybody calls it Donkey. And the full name in Japanese is Don Quixote, which is just Japanese for Don Quixote. It's a discount store with everything you can dream of. I go there shopping often. They have also Mega Donkey, which is like a multiple floor shopping store. They have electronics, food, clothes, cosmetics, everything. A lot of weird things, a lot of cheap things. If you want to try something interesting to eat, definitely visit the Donkey shop. And one last tip is something off. This is a series of shops that I personally find to be the most dangerous, because you can spend hours and hours and spend thousands of yen and dollars, and I don't know what currency you have. For example, the Book Off is just a store with used books. If you go to Akihabara, there could be, I don't know, 5 Book Off shops, maybe more. And it's like 7 floors of books, and all of them are like dirt cheap. It's insane. I don't know what to look at first. The same goes for Mode Off, which is fashion, I guess, but it's mode. It's all the used clothes. It's like a second-hand thrift store for clothes. But it's really good quality. It's really clean, really cheap. Like if you want to buy a kimono or like traditional Japanese clothes, just go there. You can have like a yokata for 2,000 or 3,000 yen. So the last time I went there, I almost bought like a set of clothes, which I decided I didn't need, so I just put it back. Another one that's really dangerous is Hard Off, which is hardware and electronics. So you could buy used computers, and because the Japanese take really good care of their electronics, all of it look really new, even though it's used. So they have really high performance, high quality notebooks and computers. Yeah, it's dangerous to go shopping there. I also found Liquor Off. I haven't been in the shop yet, but I'm not sure what the idea is behind that. I have to check. It's just lots and lots of booze with ridiculously low prices. So I don't know if it's out of date or just booze nobody likes. I don't know. But yeah, that's the tip for traveling today. Go shopping, and also don't be afraid to go shopping into different floors, because Japan is so crowded. Some of the shopping centers and small markets or restaurants even, they are in different floors, and it's usually like a really tall building, and they have some boards saying which floor has what. You have to get into an elevator and just get into a floor which the whole floor is the shop, or the whole floor is the restaurant. And sometimes it looks quite daunting. People don't want to go in if they don't know what it is. But just don't worry. Get into the elevator and explore the buildings. That's what you are expected to do anyway. So that's it for traveling tips. What happened last week or month? This month I'd like to talk about my job and students a little bit. I will try really hard not to say anything that will get me into trouble, which I think it can't, but there is always a chance, I guess. I'd like to talk about some funny situations and stories with my students. No names, no details, no specific information. So please don't sue me, don't get angry. It's just fun. And I have lots of notes which I started to take down. Like one of the students wanted to say that his friend is an enthusiastic boxer, but he really doesn't like him doing boxing because his brain is a little bit elementary school, which I think he wanted to say was that he doesn't think as fast as he could, or he's just a little bit dumb, but he said that his brain was elementary school. So there's lots of situations like that. And a lot of students that are fun. For example, one student is a university physics student, and he does research on physics, and he tells me it's really taxing, really demanding, and he does a lot of hard work at the university, and he's looking for places to unwind and relax and just clear his head, and that he found the best thing. He found a part-time job where he can not only earn a little bit of money, but it really helps him to just relax and feel better. And the part-time job is shoving people into trains. He puts on these white gloves, gets on the train station, and if people can't fit in the train, he just gives them a gentle shove, and it helps him with physics. So that's one of the students I liked. By the way, I didn't think it still existed, and it does, it's just more gentle. So in the rush hour, when the trains are really crowded, and people get stuck in the door a little bit, a squad of, physicists, I guess, or people who work at the train station, just come running in, and they just help the people, fit into the train, to say it nicely. Some of the businessmen who are really stressed about getting late to work, they do it themselves in a very weird way. They turn around with their back facing the entrance to the train. Then they reach with their arms behind their head, take the top of the door frame of the entrance to the train, and just push themselves in with their butt and their back facing the poor people in the train. It's like a gymnastic or stretching exercise. The best thing about this is that they don't do it with me. The only thing you have to do, being a tall foreigner, is to make eye contact. And they will just leave you alone. So that's quite funny. Because of my height and how different I look, I guess, they just leave me some personal space. And I have never been shoved in the train so far. So I guess it's bound to happen sooner or later. But I'm just enjoying this immunity so far. Another student was this serious-looking architect with a trimmed beard and mustache, very well combed and neat hair, beautiful clothes, a suit, very well-mannered, spoke very seriously, good English, and I asked him what type of music he likes to listen to. And with his complete poker face and serious expression, he told me he loves listening to Mr. Children, and especially his album and tour, which is called Popasaurus. So I couldn't not crack up. So Mr. Children. It's popular in Japan. Everybody who asks who's Japanese, they have heard about him. I'll put a link in the show notes. No idea why he's called Mr. Children. It's just one man. Another student who is a businessman likes to come really late in the evening. That's about 9 o'clock p.m. And sometimes he tells me, I'm running a marathon next weekend. That's in 2 days. So I've been working until 8. Now at 9 I came for English. And after the lesson I'm going to run about 5 or 10 kilometers to practice for the marathon that's at the weekend. A lot of people like that come really late. Some of them are proud of the fact that they almost didn't sleep. Like one student told me that, yay, I did it. I didn't sleep. I saved so much time. I was so productive. I was like, okay, but are you feeling fine? And he said, yes, I'm feeling great, but... And that's another story. Anyway, lots of students who are overworked come, especially like the confident, like driving personality businessmen, and they just really want to get into it. And they just really, really want to learn English. But they are so tired that they speak complete nonsense sometimes. It's quite funny. One of the students said something like that they have children, and one of the child is 5 minutes and the other child is 5 hours. And I asked him what's he talking about. He just wanted to say that it's 5 years, but couldn't think straight. But I have to admire their commitment and energy they put into it. The funniest situation with students like this was one part of the textbook where you're supposed to practice socializing and small talk in a business environment. And he talked to me and he said, it's quite difficult for me to make small talk. I'm not good at it, especially in English, but I would really like to learn it. I would really like to try hard and improve today. So let's do it today. I will gambaru. And I tried to explain that if he wants to like make friends and talk to people, he just has to relax a little bit, not worry about it, and just talk easily and slowly and about whatever. And he said, yes, I will do my best. So how do we do it? So then we practiced something, and he still did the same. He just memorized some phrases and then said them as well as they could. And he just was really like stiff. He couldn't ask any other questions than the questions from the book. So I told him again, please just relax and ask any question you like. You can ask about the weather. You can say what you did last weekend. You can talk about your holiday plans. Just speak slowly and just relax. He'll be fine. He can make small talk. And he said, yes, thank you. I will do my best. Gambaru. Just can't be helped. I don't know what to do with people like that. But he got better, to be honest. I think he will be fine. But having this attitude while learning to be friendly and relaxed just doesn't make sense. Another thing that happens often with students is that they want to say something, they mean well, but they use completely inappropriate vocabulary and phrases. For example, one lady came and she talked about her husband, how he works in an international company, and how they often have parties where they invite foreigners and people who speak English. But she can speak English very little. She doesn't like it. And I asked her about the people and if she made any friends and how does she feel about these meetups where people come and talk to English. And she thought a little bit and she said, I don't know. I think, yes, pain. It's pain. When the people come to the party and I have to speak English with them, it's pain. So that was a very accurate description of her feelings when she speaks English. The funniest conversation I had with a student was last week. We talked about a spider, which was because I found the biggest spider I have ever seen in my life face to face. I was having a shower, and on the floor next to my head was a spider the size of my hand. And I don't mean the palm of the hand, I mean my whole hand. So I looked to the side, shivered a little bit and thought, no, it was just my imagination. Just figment of imagination, might have been a dream. So continued showering, then looked again, and it was really there, about half a meter from my face. So I didn't panic, but I swiftly exited the shower and read up about it on the internet. It's called the huntsman spider. Supposedly it inhabits old buildings, just gets into like crannies and nooks and hides behind furniture, isn't poisonous, and doesn't make cobwebs. It just jumps on cockroaches and eats them. Wonderful. I talked to my landlord, the owner of the house, about the spider, and he said he's never seen it anywhere in his life. So I have already seen it twice, by the way, once in my bathroom and second time on the floor in the park. So I asked my student in the morning, have you ever seen this spider? Do you know about it? And he said, yes, I know they exist. I've never seen them myself. And he was quite a beginner student. He didn't speak English very much. And he really tries to say that the spiders are useful. But it was a struggle. He couldn't speak very much. So what he wanted to say was that the spiders are really good because if you have them in the house, at least they eat cockroaches. But what he said was that this spider, which in his way would be konosupaida, which is Japanese for spider from English, eat yes, cock. Very good cock eat. Yes. So I couldn't help but laugh. And he looked at me and he said, why are you laughing? This is very good. Good. Cock, good. Eat a cock. So now I have to check every time I go to bed. I have to check if the spider isn't in my bed. Because they eat cock. So be careful if you meet a huntsman spider in Japan. Food and drinks. Talking about penises, let's move on to the food of the day. There is a connection, trust me. I'll get to it in a second. I have searched far and wide and I have finally accomplished my mission. I have found something in Japan that tastes awful. It's called Sashimi Konnyaku. Sashimi means raw fish, I guess. It's like sushi if you have raw fish. It could be also raw chicken or raw horse, by the way, in Japan. And Konnyaku is a plant, and they have it everywhere in the supermarkets. I've been eyeing it up and wondering about what it might be. So I had to buy it, opened it, and it looks like a piece of plastic. It smells like rotten fish and tastes like plastic. Lovely. So what it actually is like a yam cake. Yam being a sweet potato, and they add different flavors. So the sashimi Konnyaku variant is just the fish smell, I guess. The thing is that this is supposedly very healthy. A whole package of this is a whole meal. You eat it with some type of mustard, or you can have soy sauce, or with an egg or something like that. And a whole package that would really fill you up. You wouldn't feel hungry about after that, supposedly. I wouldn't know because I haven't finished it, by the way. But if you ate this, it's about 100 calories for a whole meal. So that's something that I find quite interesting, is like this culture or mentality of low-calorie food. I am still losing weight in Japan, by the way. I do a lot of running, and I have problems finding food that isn't 0 calorie. They have a lot of food that has just no nutrition. Specifically, sashimi Konnyaku has some fibers, vitamins, a little bit of proteins, I guess. But you don't get any nutrition. I really like fruit jelly. They have it in every supermarket. and you have this huge package. You can get 100, 200 or 300 grams. And if you eat the 300 gram jelly package, it's like a huge cube, you really feel full. It's like a huge dessert, but it's 0 calories. That's minimal. Also, the other day I bought a huge bottle of soda, ginger ale. It was 0 calorie ginger ale. It tasted better than the ginger ale we have in the Czech Republic, which is like awfully sweet and high calorie. This was also quite sweet, not as much, which actually made me prefer this version because it's not so sweet. And it had a big sign on the front and it said 1 calorie. So if you drank this 1.5 liter bottle of ginger ale, which tasted better than ordinary lemonade, which is awfully high calorie, then you would ingest about 5 calories, something like that. So that's quite strange. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why doesn't the world do the same? Is it really so difficult to make healthy soda? Tastes great, no calories? Where's the problem? Why don't other countries do this? I have talked to many people and many of them told me that since they came to Japan, they are losing weight, or they have at least lost a significant amount of weight. So the next traveling tip, I guess, is if you want to lose weight, just come to Japan and stay for a while. It's difficult to gain weight. You have to specifically try to eat awful food, like get Domino's pizza or something. But anyway, let me get back on the subject. Sashimi konnyaku looks like plastic slices of like squarish, like slimy, see-through pieces that you dip into this like weird mustard. Doesn't really taste like anything. I would love to describe the taste. There isn't any. If you wanted the definition of bland, tasteless, it's this. And moreover, to add another lovely quality to this dish, I've talked to some Japanese people, not naming any names. What some people supposedly do is to use it for masturbation. That's a trope in Japan I didn't want to know. So I'm never eating that again. Thank you very much. I would love to tell you about the history or something interesting about this food. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find much. It's just that it's eaten only in Korea, China and Japan. It's yam cake. It's just boiled potatoes and this type of plant. And they make different types of shapes out of it. It could be balls, it could be those slices. You find it everywhere in plastic bags. It's usually this weird vomit green or grey. And you can find konnyaku soup, konnyaku this and that. But usually it's just a plastic bag with this slimy content. So don't put your dick in it. It's the brand name of the week. Get ready, it will be weird. Are you disappointed with your housing options? Is your house bland and boring? Would you like something more, something bigger, something significant and magnificent? Now you can have it. The house of all houses, the most important house you could ever have. The mother house. Yeah, and by the way, it's quite small and you can buy clothes in the mother house. The thought of the day. This time, for episode 2, I got only one reply for the thought of the day. To be honest, I didn't expect much, because it's not really much to talk about. Actually, there were 2 replies, to be honest. One of those was that somebody has just watched John Wick 3, which is an action film, a little bit over-the-top violent. The more in-depth reply I got was about not being able to watch horror films because of the feeling that when you see somebody doing something uncomfortable, you inevitably feel like what he is doing is just affecting you. You might have nightmares, you might feel sick, just might feel you really bad. And it's not about being offended, it's just about having the empathy for the person on the screen. I absolutely get that, and there is absolutely a line you shouldn't cross. But what I was trying to say is that many of the horror films that are intentionally funny involve scenes that will never happen, could never happen in real life. So of course if you watch something realistic and awful, it will make you feel awful and give you nightmares. But if you see something that's obviously just fake and an effect and something that you could never see in real life, even though it might look really disgusting, there is something I appreciate, the ability to say, okay, I get it, I can look past it and not take it as something that will make me feel awful. So the thought of the day last week was not really about not caring of what you see in horror films, but more about the idea that comedy and horror and how they are created might be the same process, which is what I found interesting. Not that people just shouldn't be offended when they watch people get killed in horrible ways. So that's about it for the reply to the last thought of the day. So let's get into the new thought of the day this week. Is it the case that the older you are, the more prone you are to believe into something? Believe in something that might change you, something that you take too seriously, something you get attached to and can't let go, something that you might do everything for. And another question connected to this very closely is not believing anything freeing or a burden? I like to believe I am a skeptic. I like to say I don't believe in many things. I'm not a knowledgeable person. I am quite a stupid skeptic. I don't know much, but I don't believe in life after death, sending negative or positive energy to other people, having astral projection, I don't know what. I think the more things I actually name, the more people I might offend. And it's not what I wanted to talk about. It's the question, do you believe in any of those things or not? The question is, do you think the older you get, the more reasons you have to believe in any of those things, and that there is a point in everybody's life that is inevitable where you start to find something like this, you cling to it, and you start to really believe it. And I have seen many people go through a traumatizing experience, having problems in their life, and be it psychological, physical, medical, any problems. And then they would find this moment in their life where something helped them and they wouldn't be able to explain why, what, where, how. So they just found the nearest explanation and they just started to invest into it, be it financially, emotionally, any other way. And my question is, has it happened to you? Do you feel like it might happen? Is it a bad thing? I think about this a lot every time somebody comes to me and talks about an experience that changed his life. It might be a variety of things. What it is, that's not the point. The point is, do you believe that if you free yourself from all those beliefs and try to see things as they really are and just be as skeptical as much as you can, does it free you? Does it help you to see more clearly? Does it make you more relaxed and happier? Does it give you the chance to see the life as it is and see past the problems and past the creations and limitations and all the things that people worry about? Which I honestly believe it does, but there are moments where it doesn't help much to not believe there is anything beyond the body and life as it is. If you know me, you might have been asked this question. This is a question that worries me, and I like to talk about it. Nobody likes to talk about this. I haven't met a single person who enjoyed the conversation. I have had conversations where people talked about it, but they haven't enjoyed it. So I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable. But what I'm trying to say is, shouldn't we, time to time, think about this? The point I'm trying to make is that there are a lot of things in people's lives that they take as the building blocks of their life, and they build on top of it, and they take it as the just all surrounding truth, and they will never change it. And as you get older, there are more and more of these things, and when you are less and less open-minded, and it gets harder and harder to change your opinion, and makes you somebody who is just never open to new things. And that's what I'm afraid of, to be honest. What I really value in a person, lately especially, is the ability to change your opinion. That's the only thing I look for in a person, actually. I need somebody in my life who is willing to change his mind on serious subjects. That might be the best quality in a person I can think of at the moment. Just being able to change what you think and accept that other people could also change and be different. Wouldn't it be beautiful if you could change what you believe and have other people say, I see what you did there, I understand you don't believe the things you believed a few years ago, so I am not going to hold you accountable. Let's just move on and do new things. It's much more challenging than it looks. So there is a million of questions. If you have anything to say about this, I will be happy to talk about it further. If you want to answer just one thing, it is, do you think that we will all start to believe something, that it's not possible, that as soon as we get into a difficult situation, we will need something to believe in, because otherwise it's just too painful to go through a bad moment or an experience. So you have to find something to help you get through it. Something to believe that will help you push through. It hasn't happened to me yet. Do you think it will happen? Do you think it will happen to you? Do you think you will start to believe something that doesn't really make sense when you look at it from a different point of view? Japanese music. This time I have a song that quite surprised me. It's a kawaii lady girl singing in Japanese, something you might hear a lot. It's alright, not too bad. But at one part of the song, she just busts out rapping. So it's a kawaii Japanese girl rapping. How lovely. So thank you for listening and see you next time. Unfortunately, the song is not available on YouTube. If you want to hear it, just listen anywhere else but YouTube. So I have just finished up work. Nice student. One of the students was actually a recurring student that came on the third day in a row. And I asked him at the very end of the workday, 10 p.m, everything's finished. And I just asked him, will you come tomorrow? A simple question. Nothing could happen. Nothing could make me angry. Nothing could make me angry at the end of the day, could it? What could he say that would make me angry? You know what he said? Will you come tomorrow? Yes, I will come. But tomorrow I am going to learn at a different school.